Hi, good morning, and welcome to another edition of What's New in Books. I'm Penelope Rail, and today we have with us Jwan Al Brwe, author of Hope to the Last Breath, the powerful story of her family's escape from the shadow of death in northern Iraq. Thanks for joining us, Jwan. She's joining us via Zoom today.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Sure. So, some viewers may not be aware of the ethnic mix of people in Iraq, but your family is Christian Chaldeans, the original people of Iraq who trace their history all the way back to King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon. Am I right to say that non-Kurdish people in your city got caught up in the conflict between the Kurds of northern Iraq and the government in Baghdad?
Yes, we were really in the middle of all that, and but the day that we saw the news on TV with the poisonous gas to the city right next to us, everybody got terrified because they said you're next, and when they told us you're next, everybody grabbed everything they can carry because they knew we're gonna have a long journey. Because gas was traveling, and we saw the video of people getting into their cars. They didn't make it. They just fell, yes, on the cars. So they were mostly trucks. I really shouldn't be seeing these videos on TV because I was so young. So when we saw these videos, everybody was terrified. They took everything they can, and we ran away. We didn't know where we were going. We just followed people. So some of them went to Iran, which is the border of Iran and Iraq. And we didn't know where we were going to, but we followed the people who were going to the Turkey. And we didn't know how many mountains were there. So that's how our journey started.
And then it wasn't long before people's cars and trucks began running out of gas, blocking the road and forcing you to continue on foot. And you were very young at the time. How old were you? And do you remember what you were feeling?
Yes, I do remember being terrified and just being dragged by my family the whole time because they're like, come on, we have to go, hurry up. And all I remember is looking around and seeing how terrified people were. And it just brings these memories of being really scared. And at night, I would cover my face from fear. And I couldn't even breathe. And my mother would tell me, no, you can't do that. Uncover so you can breathe a little bit. So it was scary times.
You tell many heartbreaking stories in this book. What is about your sister whose shoes had fallen apart, walking barefoot in the snow, and finally giving up and sitting on a rock and saying, "That's enough, here I will die"?
Well, yes. She stopped following us because the ground was all snow, and at one point she couldn't feel her foot anymore. So when that happened, she just sat on the rock and she said, "Go ahead, I cannot keep going." So my sister, my oldest sister, her heart was broken. She said, "No, you're like my best friend. I cannot let you go like that." So she searched and found somebody who was dead. And my sister was terrified because his color of the face was different color. He was gone. She had to take his shoes and give it to my sister. And my sister said, "No, I'm not gonna wear it. I'm too terrified to wear." But at the end, she did wear it for survival. This is what we had to do.
So finally you crossed all the mountain ranges and you came down to a flat plain on the Turkish border, but the Turks sent army units to prevent you from crossing. And before long, there were rains and the ground turned to mud, and many people had already died, but close to 1 million Iraqi people were stranded there on the border without food or water or shelter for 40 days.
Yes, because my dad was in military, he knew a lot of survival stuff to teach us how to survive. That's why we survived. If you look around at that time when we reached the borders, the whole ground was graves all around, and that was not a good feeling. It's not a good feeling when you look around and there is more dead people than alive. And everything we went through, we were so happy that we reached the end. We thought that was the end of our journey, of our suffering, and we made tents out of our blanket to survive. So my dad is the reason why we survived. Wow. And when we got there, they said, go back where you came from. And they had no idea. They were asking us to go back to the poison gas.
So blocked from entering Turkey, eventually you did return to your city and you went on with your life. You enrolled in art school and you made friends, but your father and mother were planning another attempt to escape from Iraq, which this time succeeded, and it took you to Istanbul and there to Greece.
Correct. Well, we saved money in Turkey, and my dad hired somebody to get us to Greece, and we had to cross the river. As soon as we got to the other side, we were caught and put in jail with 50 single men.
So your every attempt at escape seems to be from the frying pan into the fire, so to speak. It seems like more than anyone could bear, let alone a small child. So where did you find the strength to keep going?
My faith in God and my belief that there would be a better tomorrow. I had to keep going.
So after some time then in Athens, your family was finally able to emigrate to America. What were you feeling when you looked out that window of that airplane and you saw New York City waiting for you?
It was like a miracle. But I had a flashback of everything that happened to me, especially in the mountains. For a survival, my dad had to burn $100 bills, which we switched our money to American bills before we escaped. Seeing him burning money for us to survive changed something in me, that money is not as worth as human's life. So, and other stuff that came up, it was a flash in my head, flashing back to everything that happened. I remember that when we went to church, one of the churches, and there is an ancient thing that we do. We take a coin and we stick it to the wall and make a wish. And my wish was to come to America. And I remember all this so that it came true. So all the thought of happiness, and people start clapping. They clapped because they are so happy that it's the end of our suffering. And that's when I also clapped, and I was so happy that we made it.
Yeah, this is such an amazing story. It's there's so much more that's all in the book. The book is Hope to the Last Breath, Flowers Among the Thorns in the Land Between Two Rivers. It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, any online bookseller. Thank you so much for sharing this story with us, Jwan.
Thank you so much for having me. God bless you.
Oh, bless you too. And this is Penelope Rail for What's New in Books.